If you remember anything from this video, it should be the following message, which is why I put it right at the beginning. Whenever you're stuck in people-pleasing mode, don't forget that you're people too. And then, which is even more crucial long term, find out what's causing you to feel like you need to put everyone's needs before your own. Or what's making you think that whether or not you're happy doesn't have any priority whatsoever. Not too long ago, I was asking a friend for advice. The exact details and circumstances shall remain a secret, and they don't really matter anyway. So I found myself in a situation where it was virtually impossible to satisfy every party involved. There was no conceivable win-win solution. Someone would have to be the loser, no matter what I do. But I wasn't satisfied with that. So I went through all options I could think of, worrying about what would happen next, how they would feel and react. Basically being paralyzed and stressed out over something that at this point was just imaginary. It wasn't a life or death situation. No one would be harmed in any meaningful way. But for me and my people-pleasing tendencies, the thought of being even the slightest inconvenience in someone else's life is unbearable. There was something I was overlooking in my desperate desire to find the option which would minimize the potential of someone being hurt, and that's the fact that it was too late. Someone was feeling like shit already, and this someone was me. In my attempts to find a fair solution, I was being unfair to myself. This realization didn't magically solve all my problems, but it didn't need to. That's the thing. It was okay not to have the perfect solution. Someone will have to get hurt, and I had already gone through enough shit, so it was time to give myself a break. Everything else would be disrespectful towards myself. I wish I had understood this earlier in my life, especially when it came to relationships. Remember the last time you had a crush on someone? Like a proper crush that makes you question whether your drink was laced because you might as well be on drugs. We would bend over backwards for them, trying to anticipate their every wish and going above and beyond to make them happy, even if it's to the detriment of our own well-being. We might even get a kick out of sacrificing our time, money, energy, or whatever it may be for our crush. For people pleasers, this is probably true more so than for the rest of the quote-unquote normal population. But to hopefully no one's surprise, this approach is awfully flawed. Not only might it actively achieve the opposite of what we had intended, so it might make them lose interest in us because we've mutated into some sort of spineless creep, but what's even worse, especially long-term, is how this undermines the level of respect we have for ourselves. We create a dynamic in which we play the second fiddle. Our brains are suckers for trying to find explanations for everything. And in this case, our brains will expect the fact that we always put the needs of our crush before our own by a difference in value. We have to be less important than them if we keep behaving like that. And if we keep repeating it, it will become part of our identity, and we'll be convinced that we're just not very important. This, of course, is total bullshit. Pleasing others is okay as long as we please ourselves just as much as everyone else. Weird way to phrase it, but why not? So whenever you're crushing over someone, try to remember that you're just as irresistible as them, and therefore deserving of your own attention. These types of affirmations can only go so far though. To properly break free from the nightmare that is people-pleasing, we need to take a close look at why we prioritize everyone else in the first place. It could be explained in a whole lot of ways. Maybe your parents instilled a certain belief in you, like good people always think of others first, or that it's a sin to seek and enjoy any kind of pleasure. Maybe you were bullied, or didn't receive any sort of attention, neither negative nor positive, which can be just as crippling. You might have copied it from your parents, whose relationship exhibits a very imbalanced power dynamic. And now you're convinced love is only true if someone is sacrificing themselves on a daily basis. It's not easy to leave that shit in the past. But you know what can help? Therapy. So the main message of this video is, whenever you're stuck in people-pleasing mode, don't forget that you're people too. And close second, if you even have the slightest hunch that you might benefit from seeing a therapist, give it a try.